Welcome to Get to Know Glasgow, the podcast that tells you what you need to know about student life at the University of Glasgow, from those who know it best. I'm Alice, an international officer here at the uni, and in this series I'll be chatting to 2 undergraduate and 3 postgraduate students about their Glasgow journeys.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Yassi.
I'm Shounak.
And I'm Serena. In each episode, we'll be sharing our experiences
and giving you our top tips
on everything from student jobs and budgeting
to making new friends.
So you'll know what it's really like to be part of Team UofG.
Let's get started.
Hi everyone, we're back for another episode, and today we're chatting all fun things finance. So what you need to know about the cost of living in Glasgow, so budgeting, student discounts and finances. So as I said, all of the fun things we're about to cover in terms of finances. Serena, I'm going to come to you first. What do you find about Glasgow in terms of cost of living?
So it's definitely gotten a lot more expensive since I started as a student in 2022, but I definitely say that has helped me budget a lot. I know that obviously a lot of people coming into uni is very intimidating. Some people have scholarships, some have student loans, and then also working part-time. For me, I love to budget, so it's fun, it's a little activity for me. So how I usually operate it is I have my rent as I live by myself, and I have my bills, and basically I love a student discount. There's no one on this world that loves a student discount more than me. I make sure to put in everything I do. If there's a clothing I want, can I get it with student discount? There's bread meets bread with a 50% off for students on Monday with a student discount. Things like that really help me budget and still have a good time. I think a lot of the time, especially for students, it can be really daunting to be I really want to do these things, but I know that I have this bill coming up with either student accommodation, or I have bills for books or flat rent, anything like that. And I think budgeting can be fun. Everyone's in loads of different circumstances and stuff like that, but you can still have a great time at uni and budget, especially if you have apps like Uni Days, or even if you keep up with the union Instagrams, things like that. There's always deals going on that make fun, affordable opportunities for students. And I think it's just a fantastic way. It's definitely saved me a lot of money, and I still feel like I've had such a fantastic experience in the last 3 years.
I was just going to say, making a fun game out of budgeting can make it feel much better than just that you're budgeting, but you're actually looking out for the best deals, like you were saying, Serena.
Yeah, so as an international student, obviously, even in my case, cost of living was one of the biggest questions before I came over here. So what I did before coming over here is I made an Excel spreadsheet. I estimated some costs looking through Google websites. I had a chat with few students on UniBuddy app as well, so they guided me. And also, an important point to note is University of Glasgow themselves have posted quite a good amount of videos related to budgeting. So I'll recommend students to watch those videos before coming in, so that they get an idea of what their expenses will be after coming over here. And the average monthly cost of living over here varies. It depends on how frugally you live or what sort of lifestyle you want to live as a student. So it usually ranges from about 900 to 1200 pounds per month, including the rent. So for the rent, it varies. Student accommodations have better facilities. I personally live in a student accommodation because it's closer to the uni. I save time, but at the same time they are slightly on a higher end. And if you are looking for a lower budget option, you have shared flats in that case, but you have to make sure you are comfortable with living along with 2 or 3 more people. Apart from that, I've noticed private accommodations or shared flats usually are a bit far from the uni, so you have to manage your time really well for that. Plus you'll be spending on your bills, plus your travel separately, including the subway.
All of that was very good points. However, I'm still stuck on what Serena said about bread meets bread doing 50% off on Mondays. I didn't know that. I had no idea. And the fact that I could have been doing that this whole time, that's heartbreaking. I was talking about the Urban Outfitters, they give you a 10% discount. Bread meets bread is so much better. And you actually need food. You don't necessarily need anything at Urban Outfitters. But yeah, so I didn't know about that one. I guess I need to look more thoroughly into discounts. I knew about Urban. I've used there's an app website thing called Student Beans that has a lot of student discounts on it. And then I know there's a charity shop near me that does student discounts. So yeah, also very passionate about the student discounts and about, in addition to like places that give you the discount with, you know, you're having your ID on you, I would also just say get any type of card that like different grocery stores offer. Like Lidl has a card, and also Lidl is the cheapest grocery store. And I don't shop anywhere else now because I think like it's a lot about prioritizing like what is important to you, what you want to prioritize. Food is like at the bottom. If I can get like the cheapest food possible and then spend money on like going to the movies or like, you know, doing things with friends, like that's more important to me than like spending a ton at the grocery store. So I really recommend shopping at Lidl, and then you can get the card for Lidl. Morrison's, I have a More card, getting a Subway card, and then you can save and you're not buying tickets all the time. Getting a rail card has made train tickets so much cheaper. Like there's just a lot of stuff that I think like you want to do, but you're like, like how much does that cost? Like you want to go to like Edinburgh for the day or whatever. But then like the rail card, it literally like cuts it in half. So I think really just looking into like what is available to you. Yeah.
I'd also like to add on about the UniDays app, where you get access to range of offers, including stores like Nike. You can get discount codes for Deliveroo, Uber Eats, all those sorts of apps. So it's just very easy to get access to it. You just download the app, log in with your student ID. You get access to all these available discount codes. I personally like the one which gave me access to the 6 months Amazon Prime membership. So as a student, I used to get free deliveries coming at my accommodation rather than spending 2 or 3 additional pounds per delivery. So keep a note of this because it really helps you save a lot. And apart from that, I'll say that initially when you come over here as a student, I've noticed that many people get too paranoid about, okay, I spent so much in the first month itself, but it's just for the first month because you're settling in over here. It takes time because it'll include expenses like your bedding, include expenses about shopping regarding your utensils. Also, you might be enrolled in other activities like gym memberships. So it's just for the first month. After the first month, things get sorted out for you and you can track your budget accordingly. Definitely suggest keeping a budget tracker on your phone. That's what I personally do. It seems a bit different, like people might judge, but it's better to keep a track of each and everything you buy because it just helps in budgeting and what sort of things you can avoid buying in the next month.
Yeah, I agree. What I was just going to say is you both obviously mentioned like uni days and student beans and also the rail card, which is something I use a lot. I'm from like Ayrshire, so I travel down a lot. But even with that, see if you actually go into student beans or uni days, you can actually get even more money off initially buying the rail card. I think it's like an extra 10% off as a student, and it's the 16 to 25, I think, is the rail card. You get another 10% off of the overall price of it, which is fantastic. It's also uni days, student beans show stuff like Spotify, you get student membership on there. Uber Eats is a student membership as well. Amazon, Netflix, I used to have it. I'm not sure if they have it anymore. But like Amazon Prime, all these, there's a lot of opportunities to use a student discount and have student rates. A lot of gyms do that, like the Gym Group and Pure Gym, things like that. And it's definitely something I would look at because I know I've made the mistake many times, especially when I first started not looking for student rates. And then I found them and I was like, how have I been paying so much for so long? So I definitely make sure to keep that in mind and check that out.
Yeah, I think the kind of forward planning and looking what is there, because there's nothing worse, as Jessica's just realised she could have been eating a bread meets bread this whole time on a Monday night. But you can make the most of it for the next little while, Jessica.
Yeah, I love
Monday today.
bread. I can't believe I didn't know that. And it's so expensive. And the fact that, okay, God, well, now I know. But like in a different vein from like, you know, discount cards and everything, I will say like one of my biggest like money saving tips is if you're going to work on campus and like you are planning on like camping out for the whole day, pack your own food. Like you are not going to want to move once you have found like the perfect spot in the library or in like the JMS, any of the campus buildings. You're not going to want to move. Like, yes, there's like Tesco and stuff close by, and meal deals are the best creation in the entire world. But like, you don't want to relinquish your spot. And like places on campus do have food, but obviously that's going to cost more than, you know, doing your shop at Lidl and then throwing some food in your bag. Because there have been days where I'm too lazy in the morning and I don't bring my own food. And then I get whatever, you know, is close enough that I don't have to relinquish my spot. And I'm like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. So yeah, definitely just like invest in some sort of Tupperware lunch container thing and pack your own lunch if you're planning on like camping out on campus to get a lot of work done. That's my main tip.
I was just thinking about we've been talking a lot about discounts, and I'm just feeling jealous at this side of all of these discounts that you guys are talking about that I maybe do not have access to. But in terms of like the cost of living, and do you feel that you need a part-time job? Is that helpful in terms of how to kind of balance your time? Do you think it's achievable without a part-time job? It's obviously your personal experience, but how do you feel about that in terms of having part-time job with study?
I think in my personal experience, I'm like very fortunate that I am a Scottish student and I do get SAS obviously, but for me that SAS goes immediately into savings to pay for my rent or pay for my bills, because that's taking up like say like £800 of my bills a month is my rent and like electricity and stuff on top of that. So for me, not working isn't really an option. You can do it 100%. For me personally, I just wasn't able to because I knew that I had either bills upcoming or I knew that occasionally like weekly I like to get a little takeaway, and I knew that I would eat in if I didn't really have that kind of funding and fund myself. So I did, I think in second year, maybe take off a few months, and then I got my first internship, continued to work a part-time job alongside an internship, and then I obviously now have my current internship, which I love. Is great and it's very flexible, and it also helps give me that almost little kind of breath of relief, like okay, I have this, that means when the bills come out I'm not too stressed. It's not like for example, if there's a birthday party I have to miss that, or if there's a night out, or if there's an event, it still gives me that opportunity to have fun. But I know for a lot of people that's not the case either. It's too stressful if you're doing certain degrees and you can't work. But I think for everyone it's different, and you probably have a better grasp on what you would work well with. For me, I just know that honestly I would have to have a part-time job to sustain things that I do, whether it's traveling, whether it's going to events or buying things. It's something that I know I need to sustain myself with, and I think you know yourself best, but you can work around it, definitely.
Perfect. And Shounak, how have you found it? Have you had a part-time job, or have you had a different experience?
Yeah, definitely. I'll recommend part-time jobs for the ones who have enough time, because what I've noticed is masters over here are just for 1 year. And if you are in a STEM degree like me, which is biotech, you definitely will find it difficult to manage your time, because the course demands a lot, because there'll be lab work, there'll be days where you have to be 9 to 5 in the lab, and especially during the project days where you have to be in the lab even in some cases from 8 to 5 p.m. in the evening, and that's for a stretch of 3 to 4 months. So it's definitely possible. I won't say that it's not possible, because you get to work for about 20 hours per week, which is maximum. And I personally got the opportunity to work as a student content creator at the university, which has been a really great experience. And the plus point of this particular job is that I can work freely at my own pace and make content for the university. So it's not like any other part-time job where you have to work for a set number of hours for this particular week. So I'm really thankful for that. Apart from that, for managing finances, I was lucky enough to get a scholarship, which is the India Merit Award, which partly covered my tuition fees. So that helped me in budgeting as well.
Yeah, I also got a scholarship. I got the International Leadership Scholarship, which went towards my tuition. So I think it was like £10,000 were like taken off my tuition. Because I mean, obviously, as an international student, we have, not what Scottish citizens have for it. So I was pretty stressed about financial stuff coming here, just because with my undergrad degree, I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to take out loans for that. I had like family help to pay for my undergrad. So it was my first time like taking out student loans, and like my first time, just being like really, really independent. But yeah, the scholarship definitely helped. And like I didn't get a part-time job until really recently. I tried whenever I first got here, but I also knew I was going to be going home for Christmas, and seasonal hiring is like that's the big like push for like whenever you have the best chance of like getting like a retail job, which with the student visa restrictions of the 20 hours, like retail and like customer service stuff is kind of like your best shot. So that didn't work because I knew I was going home for Christmas. If you're not going home for Christmas, try around Christmas time, because retail places need people. But then I also knew I wanted to stay here once my program ends. So I started looking around, I think like May, like really seriously like applying for like multiple jobs a day. And I got one recently. So it also worked out well because it was right around whenever my like classes stopped and I was just like full full time, like working on my dissertation. So I didn't have to work around a class schedule. It's just kind of like my own time management with making sure I'm like working, saving money for the flat I'm going to move into, and then also prioritizing, getting my dissertation finished. So it is definitely possible to get a part-time job. And if that's something you need to do, like, like Serena said, your own situation best. But yeah, it is just about how well you can balance and manage your own time, very much so.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that, Jessica. And I think from what you and Shounak have said, and as an international student, there's things like scholarships. There's it changes every year, but there's always information about that on the website. So it kind of comes down to what all of us have been saying. Serena, you were saying it earlier, of making sure that you're kind of doing your research in advance. So with things like scholarships, there's a scholarships database on the website, so that could be a really good place to start. Can you get a scholarship that'll help with that tuition fee? So that gets updated every year, and you can check there if that is something that could help you out on that side for sure. But I just love all of the kind of discount things that I've been hearing about everything that is going on in terms of discounts at Glasgow. And I know that, like, Shounak, you kind of touched on using an app to kind of help with your like money management and budgeting. Serena, you were saying you kind of made a game out of it. Are there any like particular things that you're using that you find really helpful? I know a lot of people might just use Excel and then maybe walk away from it because it gets too confusing with too many formulas. But any kind of like really good kind of budgeting and money management kind of advice?
For me, I don't use an app because I try not to be on my phone. What my kind of thing is if it's not a yes immediately, then it's a no. So if I'm saying, say I'm in a shop or something and I see, let's just say like a pair of shoes. If it's not something I immediately say yes, like I have to think about it, do I want it? I just go, okay, that's a no. Because it helps me realize, okay, is this essential for me? And then I can kind of save money. And then if I do see something and I'm immediately like, yes, then I know, okay, I really want that, or it fits into something I need. So for me, it's just kind of holding myself accountable. If I do have that hesitation initially when I look at something that I think I want, but it's not an immediate yes, I just do not get it. If I come back to it and start thinking about it, maybe I will. But initially, if I don't say yes, I'm saying no. So I don't do it.
That's good advice for me as well, Serena. Maybe I should just take a pause and think before I'm purchasing anything, especially when it comes to closed shops, potentially. That could be my downfall.
I had to implement like almost the exact same system within myself. I tried using a budgeting app. It worked for a little bit and then I like forgot about it. But like I had to do the same thing because again, with my priorities and, prioritizing fun things to buy over, essentials, like I had such a problem with like impulse purchases. There is currently a coat hanging out of frame in my room that I impulse purchased on Halloween night. That was like 50 pounds and I've been trying to sell it on like Depop for like months now because it was an impulse purchase. I'm like, why did I do that? I don't even like it now. So I forced myself to stop doing impulse purchases. I'm like, if it isn't there whenever I come back, because I make myself walk away and think about it. And then if like it's gone, it's out of stock, someone else gets it. I'm like, okay, it wasn't meant to be. That was the universe telling me I didn't really need this and I needed to save money because my fridge is empty and I'm living off of cereal. So I don't let myself do impulse purchases anymore. I very much just force myself to think about what I'm getting and what I already have. So it's just like a mind game within myself and willpower, self-control and willpower.
Definitely, that's truly important. And in my case, I do the same thing. Like, that's the reason I make a list of each and every month whenever I buy something, even if it's like clothes, be it shoes. So whenever I see before going into the next month, okay, in the previous month, there's something which is popping up. Okay, that's 60, 70 pounds. No, I can avoid that and invest in something better. So I usually use the Notes app, which is available on the phone because that's quite handy. And previously I used to work on Excel, but then I figured out that, okay, no, this is getting difficult because I can't pop out my laptop out of nowhere in a supermarket and just keep a track of all the lists of items I have bought. So a phone tracker is the best thing, which I suggest, like on the Notes app.
Absolutely. You don't have to start remembering to open an Excel sheet once you get home, Shounak. I feel like that would feel much worse if you forgot to do it for a week and then you had to input it all at once as well. So having just a note on your phone is a really good way to track it without feeling too scary and like kind of too much as well. Because budgeting can be daunting, for the first time when you're away from home for the first time maybe, and you've not really experienced having the accommodation, which is going to be the bulk of your costs when you're at university. And then you've got to think about all the other things like groceries and also making time to have fun. That's probably something like, I hope that you're also going out and enjoying yourselves during your time at university and not just worried about kind of getting the rent and stuff, that you've got enough kind of in terms of your budget to experience the student life that Glasgow has to offer as well.
Yeah, I think definitely in terms of that, I would say if you are interested in a society or sport, do it. For sport, might be a one-off payment. For societies, they're usually free. If you join that, there's a lot of times where you do meet up with people and it doesn't cost you anything and you still get to have that unique experience of meeting people, having fun. Like Jessica said earlier, if you can pack your lunch if you're going to go onto campus. I also pack my lunch if I'm going to training or my dinner. I'll take it with me, have it on the bus, something like that. Just because I know myself and I know I'm impulsive and I will buy food because I love food. But I would highly recommend joining like societies or even volunteering, because it does fill that time for you if you really are being like budget cautious on, I don't really want to spend money but I still want to have a good time. There's a lot of people in similar positions as you that will be joining societies, joining sports. Like a lot of the time you do have maybe a one-off payment, but if that is going to be something to you that you're going to use and utilize, I would definitely recommend it.
I think also, like, if you're not a society sport person for whatever reason, like, force yourself to, like, go out and see things and do things. Like, make plans with your friends, because there are so many places to explore that are so easily accessible with, like, public transport and the trains. Like, it's really easy to just, like, spend all your time sitting in your room or sitting on campus and, like, working and getting really caught up in that. But, like, there are so many places to go and things to see, like, just day trips. Like, it'll take, an hour, 2 hours to get there early, spend the whole day, explore like a new city, explore a new town, and then, like, come back. And you're like, if you're not paying for anything out, like, it's just the cost of the train ticket. If you pack your own food, if you plan, like, you're just paying for the transport essentially, and you're still getting like a great experience. Like, I was never really an outdoorsy person back in Texas, because you really can't be, because it's so hot outside. But like here, it's like gorgeous outside and the weather permits it most of the time. Like, there is rain, but that's just, you know what you're getting into. You can deal with it. It's okay. Like, there's so many places to go and hang out outside, and like hiking trails, and it's gorgeous, and it's easy to do with the public transport, and like getting the rail card makes it even cheaper. So I think just like having that initiative to like make plans and do things and not get so in your head about like just focusing on saving money and just focusing on your studies, because it is still important to like have those experiences and make the most out of your time here.
That's brilliant. I think what would be good to know just about cost of living, and you've probably mentioned this before, but what are your final thoughts, final piece of advice, short bit of advice that you'd have for students about cost of living, budgeting, anything finance for starting at the University of Glasgow? Serena.
I would say do your research, but also do not feel guilty if you do 1 month, for example, really want to do something. Budgeting doesn't mean you never do anything ever. There's special exceptions, there's birthdays, there's anniversaries, there's different things. You're at uni, you're having fun, but you can still have fun and budget, and you can still budget and then go and do things. So take advantage of botanics gardens, things that are free, and also do not feel bad if you want to go and do something that maybe costs a little bit more.
Shounak, what about you? Do you have any final pieces of advice?
Yeah, firstly, like, because there are many other international students coming to Glasgow, even in this coming year, I've received lots of messages regarding budgeting. So that's what I mentioned. Just keep it plain and simple. Have a plan in mind, but don't get too stressed about it. Don't just keep thinking, okay, how about I go about the other thing? Like, just enjoy your life. Just enjoy your time over here. But definitely keep a track of all the budgets for that particular month. And best advice I can give to students is, if you have time enough before coming over here, then invest time in learning cooking. Because me personally, I didn't know any skill related to cooking, so I just knew how to make a cup noodles in that case. And within that 1 month time frame before coming over here in the month of August, I had a crash course with my mother in the kitchen where she taught me range of recipes. I'm really thankful for her, and that definitely has helped me, because like can call myself an expert now, and it's fun to share food with friends and cook together. I have 2 or 3 friends coming up at my place, and we just all enjoy cooking together. So yeah, that's also a nice way to lower down your costs on food. And secondly, if you are someone who's below the age of 22, like I just had my birthday in the month of May where I turned 22, but before that I had the access to the Young Scott car, where I didn't spend any money on for traveling across Scotland. So, for example, if I want to go to Edinburgh, I didn't spend any money at all because I was under 22. So, if you are under 22, take an advantage of that. Just register yourself on the Young Scot website. I'm not sure about the URL, but just register yourself. They'll ask for a couple of questions and document verification of regarding your age, and you'll receive your card within 15 or 20 days.
Those are fabulous points, Shounak. Firstly, cooking. Everyone loves to get together and have a meal. But yeah, the free bus transport that you can get under the age of 22, so you can get free buses throughout Scotland, is something that is, if you're lucky enough to be under the age of 22, that's a really good budgeting tip. Jessica, last but not least, what are your final pieces of advice?
The charity shops here are wonderful. Take advantage of them. The furniture, the essentials, like for the kitchen, like anything you could. I know it's very tempting to just go into a TK Maxx, but the charity shops are genuinely so good here, especially if you're like located on the West End, like the ones on Byers Road. But I mean, the city in general, they're just such good charity shops here. Shop at Little. I know that M&S and Waitrose they're so fun and cool to walk around in, but Little is so cheap, it's insane, especially coming from America where the cost of groceries is like mind-boggling. Little is so cheap. And just to second what Shounak said about learning how to cook, because I also had to do that at my embarrassing big age of 25. I could do like sandwiches, and like that's not really cooking though, as people keep telling me, but like you'll also want to be able to make like the dishes that aren't available at restaurants here that you miss from back home, which was my big motivator for learning how to cook. So it's like a huge like money saver. And then you also now know how to make like any of the meals that you're missing from like wherever you're from. So learn to cook.
That's really good. Everyone needs to learn to cook. And I think that's true. It's a budgeting tip, but it's also a life skill that you're picking up when you're learning to cook. So that's a really good one to leave it on for today, I think.
We hope this episode has been useful. If you're interested in finding out more, you'll find the links you need in the show notes. And you can visit glasgow.ac.uk/gettoknowglasgow. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.